Welcome back, Caddy Corner, episode 23, apparently.
Yeah, we had to check.
We did.
We weren't quite sure.
No, not our best start.
But that means that we've been doing this for 23 weeks.
And some change, yeah. Little bit of conceptualization, but yeah, 23 weeks.
But like recording and
Facts.
posting for 23 weeks straight.
Crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah, super nuts.
Man, kudos to us.
Yeah, shout out to us, Funnily enough, though, content we consume, I messed that up. We create content, but we also consume content.
All the time.
And that is what this podcast is going to be about.
That is true.
So,
you guys are in for a treat.
You guys are in for a treat. This is one of those episodes that I think we're going to murder.
Yeah.
Because if anybody knows about this kind of stuff, it's us.
That's true.
We're basically going to talk about, at least what I have written down, is I have a couple of different creators that I watch or consume, if you will. And then I also have impacts that the content that you consume kind of has on your life is what I have. And then I also have a surprise segment that we're going to do at the very end.
Okay.
Before
we start,
yeah,
I actually just want to say something. I've been thinking about this a lot. I just kind of want to get it off my chest. I just wanted to say that I feel good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
About what? About everything?
Just everything. I'm trying to think of a way that I can put this. So I've been hitting the gym.
Yeah.
And that makes me feel good. And I've also been doing a little bit of dieting.
Yeah.
That also makes me feel good. And my planning skills have been on point lately.
Oh, yeah?
Especially since this semester started. And that's been making me feel good. And the podcast is growing. That makes me feel good. And I just feel like everything, I'm revisiting some old hobbies that I had. And that's making me feel good. And just like doing schoolwork is making me feel like very productive.
On a roll, huh?
I just feel good right now.
That's dope.
I feel good right now.
I kind of feel the same way. That's weird.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's... Maybe it is because of school.
Yeah.
Maybe just being like in a system helps.
And I wouldn't say that I ever felt not good. But I'm not sure if I have never felt not good. I just feel really good right now. Or like I was feeling not good.
Yeah.
But now I know what feeling good feels like.
There's no way for you to know until you look back at it in like 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Interesting. Well, Good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Killing it. On a roll.
Yep. Feeling good. I just wanted to let y'all know.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about that.
For sure.
Just like, man.
Yeah.
I feel good.
There you go. Bada bing, bada boom. And by the way, guys, we're back outside.
Oh, yeah. For the second time.
Yeah. It's a little earlier in the day than we normally record, so the light was weird again. Also, we dig it out here.
Yeah.
So we probably will be doing more shows out here because it is cool until it starts to be cold, in which case we will not be out here anymore.
Yeah.
So
I'm also wearing some sunglasses today, so you guys can't see my eyes. So if I start to cry, you'll never know.
He's actually already cried because he feels good.
Yeah.
So let's jump into content we consume.
Yeah, let's do it.
Do you want to start with creators that we consume, or do you want to start with impacts on your life?
We can do creators.
Okay, so let's do that. Go ahead and hit it if you want.
Well, I haven't even thought about that.
Oh, yeah?
I didn't think about that.
Okay,
well, there's a sweat bee.
That noise is crazy. That sounded like what I imagine the hammer sounds like whenever they hit your knee at the doctor's office.
Yeah.
That was crazy. Man,
I didn't even get him.
We are going to have to clip that soundbite out and keep it forever. That was amazing.
All right.
Okay. So
yeah, you can go ahead.
Yeah,
and I'll have to think for a minute.
That's fine. So I did creators that I consume, and I kind of went a little bit off of like the normal stuff. We've talked about like stuff that we watch a lot on the pod, like on our one of our past episodes of After Hours and stuff like that. So basically what I'm saying is I'm not going to be generic. I'm going to kind of get a little bit more specific. So I have like creators written down and also like why, like what I'm like learning from them and stuff like that. So I want to start off with somebody that the audience probably doesn't know unless you're in the YouTube and the editing space, which is something that I watch a lot of, which is Hayden Hillier Smith, which is Logan Paul's editor.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever seen his YouTube videos or not, but he kind of will watch other content creators' YouTube videos, break down why the edits are good, bad, that kind of thing. He'll go through like old Logan Paul videos, do the same thing. He does like editing advice. But a lot of the stuff that I've been taking away from him is how to edit a video that is made for YouTube. It's not a movie,
right?
It's a story that's told for YouTube, and it's edited in that same way, like fast and everything's very deliberate, and I've just been like very fascinated with that.
Yeah.
Because I've been doing that a lot with the TikTok clips, like cutting out a lot of like dead space, I guess, and like being a lot more meticulous about it. And I've noticed that transitions into every edit that I do.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, a lot of Hayden Hillier Smith. If you're into the video editing world, or if you're just interested in like storytelling for YouTube, check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That that reminded me of somebody who I watch. It's the editor for Good Golf.
Oh yeah, sure, Colin Ross.
Yeah, he does like the same type of stuff.
He makes awesome videos too.
Yeah, he does. He does really well, and he does a lot of fun videos about how they do the things that they do. So like he'll like show a video, and then he'll be like, "This is how we did this," kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I always think that stuff is very neat.
For sure, especially for people like us.
Yeah.
Because you guys might not really know. Well, it hasn't been recently, but golf is kind of like something that Caleb and I really like.
Yeah.
Even though it has not been recently, but and we also love their channel. So
Oh,
like
yeah.
they make, if you don't know who Good Golf is, they make the best golf videos on YouTube.
That is true.
They make like maybe better content than like the PGA. Honestly, no cap.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, they
So
might.
if you're interested in sports content and you like golf and you like some cool dudes, you should check out Good. But yes, like it's very interesting how they do their stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I think of whenever I think of a Good video is whenever they did Good Major UK and it was like 4 hours long.
Yeah.
And they like cranked it out in like 2 weeks.
Right.
That's ridiculous.
That's
A
crazy.
3-hour edit, 7 golfers, so 7 POVs basically.
Yeah.
Imagine how much time that took.
That's so much.
Anyway, we won't sit here and complain too much about how editing is.
Yeah.
It's getting windy, boys. We're about to get blown away. Oh man, if only we had the fog machine ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe next time. So I want to jump into my next one, which is I want to lean into podcasts a little bit more. I've been on a big long form tip, watching whole podcasts and stuff like that, which apparently is not common practice. I've learned.
Listening to a whole podcast?
Right. Apparently, most people don't do that. Most people. Well, hold on. Like the way that you consume a podcast for most people is through like TikTok and Instagram now.
I can see that.
I read a blog about that, like about how most of the stuff that you consume that's like long form, like 20 minutes plus, is done through short form content now. Which is interesting.
Yeah.
But anyway, we won't talk too much about that. But this podcast is called Don't Be Sour. It is by Max Tuning. He is a fitness creator and like an OG fitness creator, like in the Brad Martin, Christian Guzman era of fitness creators. I don't really watch a lot of fitness creators, not at the time. I do now a little bit more because I'm hitting the gym consistently. So, and anyway, we won't talk too much about fitness content creators. But he talks about like he has a lot of the old school fitness guys on, like fitness YouTube creators, and how that style of YouTube kind of evolved, which, like I said, is not a side of YouTube that I know very much about. And so learning about that is interesting because these guys like brought a lot of different aspects kind of into it, but also the fitness creators have started like crazy businesses. So like his podcast is called Don't Be Sour because he's a fitness creator who made like diet friendly sour candy, like sour strips, and so like so yeah, which is interesting, right?
Yeah.
And so because you don't see that from like a regular creator, like what creator's making candy, right?
Right.
And so they've had a lot of those guys on, like the people who made Ghost supplements, which is the supplements that I use. They also just make another one.
There's this fly who like will not get off me. Like, you got something to say?
Eat him. That sound is so great. You're never gonna get him.
This guy.
Yeah, this guy.
Like, what are
you smoking?
Dude, I wish you could get a close up on this guy. He looks crazy.
I wish that he could talk.
Trying to put the microphone to him.
What the heck?
Gosh, he's just gonna have to live on me, I guess.
He's just gonna sit on the headphone cable now, I think.
Chill.
What an interesting life.
Yeah, stay there.
Yeah, stay there. But yeah, Don't Be Sour Pod.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I'm not familiar with any. It's like seeing a whole new world on YouTube. That like it's an era that I grew up in. It's like 2012 to now, but I know nothing about really.
Right.
So it's just cool to see that from like a different perspective. Also, like I would love to make sour candy.
Yeah, that'd
like
be cool.
Supplements, or like Christian Guzman, who's bigger. Like he has a gym called Alpha Land, which is like the Disneyland of fitness. that he made. It's like a 16-acre, 4-compound gym in Frisco, Texas, and
Man,
yeah, so he's like a super business guy. Anyways, I won't talk too much about that, but I just like podcasts, so I
yeah,
have a lot of podcasts on my list. So
got it.
yeah,
Uh, I would say sticking with the podcast vibe here, I would have to put Logan Paul
yeah, impulsive.
on my list.
It's always a king's pick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, dude, I was talking to my girlfriend about this just yesterday. Um, if you haven't listened to this week's episode of After Hours, go listen. Came out yesterday, and it's a killer show. Go listen. Shout out to Sydney. But I was talking to her yesterday, and uh, we were talking about podcast, and I was telling her how I never really watched Logan Paul whenever he was big into his
Yeah.
vlog days and
Me
stuff.
neither.
Uh, and then after, like, you listen to his podcast and you get to learn like who the real Logan Paul is, and I mean, whenever you listen to that show, it's just like three bros,
Yeah,
like,
and a guest sometimes,
yeah,
most of the time.
having a conversation with like somebody who's like super famous and
Yeah.
super interesting. And for one, that is such a cool show. Being able to get people like that on your podcast every week is like super impressive, and they're killing it, and
Yeah.
they're like doing it better than anybody else is doing it. But back to my point, like, podcast. If you don't listen to podcasts are places where if you like a creator and they go on a podcast,
It's the next level.
exactly. And it's so cool to hear like these people in kind of like real life. I think that's how I
Yeah.
view podcasts most of the time. It's like I'm listening to this person in like real life, and other than a staged YouTube video or like a staged TV show or like staged whatever they're doing in
For sure.
their work. And another thing that I was thinking about, not with just Logan Paul, but like Logan Paul's two guests or two co-hosts, they weren't really famous before they like started being a host on Impulsive. And so I think that is super cool too, because they're just doing what they know how to do.
Talk.
They're
Hanging
on
out with their friends.
they're on a podcast doing a podcast, and they just happen to get like mega famous and mega
Yeah.
rich because they were doing it. But like then it wasn't because the money, or it
No.
wasn't because the status or whatever.
Mhm.
Like they're just doing it because that's what they know how to do. And I think podcasts are very good if you want to get that kind of content from people that you enjoy.
100%. That's how I find most of my podcasts.
Yeah.
Is well, and not even creators that I like, because I would fairly confidently say that I was not a Logan Paul fan
Oh yeah, totally.
before I started watching Impulsive. And I think the first episode of Impulsive I ever watched was 6ix9ine when that came out.
Yeah.
So that was quarantine.
Right.
Maybe just a little bit before quarantine. But that's 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, I've only been watching that for 2 years, and it's like I watch it every Tuesday.
Yeah.
Like, Roman Atwood came out 2 days ago, and I watched it like within the first hour that it came out.
Yep.
Like, it's just like, it's a weird thing, but that's how I find most of my podcasts, is from
Yeah.
creators that I watch too. So, piggybacking off that exact same point, my next podcast that I listen to a lot recently is Raw Talk, which is Brad Martin's podcast.
Mm-hmm.
You know Brad Martin.
Yeah.
Everybody knows Brad Martin. He's a great, like, the way that I felt about Logan Paul, where I don't really watch his content, but he's incredible on a podcast, is exactly the same way that I feel about Bradley Martin.
Yeah.
He is very good at speaking and asking questions that are interesting. He has a very similar dynamic as like Mike on Logan Paul's podcast, where it's like bringing an older
Yeah.
perspective. And so it's different questions than the normal YouTubers, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Which is like cool.
Yeah.
And he has cool guests on there. He does a lot of stuff with the Nelk Boys, which is a side of the internet that I'm very interested in, just because their
Yeah.
business is nuts.
Yeah.
And then, you know, people just like, it's just an interesting, different perspective. So,
Yeah.
and he's good at talking. He also does really long pods, which I like 2.5 hour podcasts.
Oh yeah.
And I like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, Raw Talk, Brad Martin.
That is. I was just thinking, and it's crazy how all these people are like business oriented.
Mm-hmm.
It's so crazy because
the successful ones are.
the internet did not used to be like that.
Mm-mm. What I always think about whenever I think about creator entrepreneurs is, in the traditional way of making a business, you had to make a product,
Yeah.
and then an audience would build around that.
But the
now,
audience builds around the people.
exactly. Now you have an audience that you build, and then you can make a product that's for them exactly.
Yeah.
It's like the opposite. And
Yeah.
I feel like it makes more sense to do it that way.
Totally.
Obviously, that's what we're trying to do here. But like, I don't know. I just think it's always really interesting. I've been watching a lot of Shark Tank, so business mode is on my dome at the moment. So
Got it.
yeah.
Cool.
Mark
Cool.
Cuban's a cool guy.
Yeah, he is cool.
Yeah. All right. You got another one off the top of the head?
Nah,
No?
go ahead.
I have been watching a lot of Rogan recently. What I've learned about Joe Rogan and his show is that, at least for me, I am very specific about the things that I will watch that he does. Not because I dislike him or anything like that, because I actually really like Joe Rogan. But it's just, what am I interested in? This guy has 1,600 podcasts published.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch every one of them.
Totally.
You know what I'm saying? And so recently, by recently I mean 2 days ago, and it's older, because I don't like watch it every week, but it was, and I forget her name, but she escaped from North Korea and like made it to the States and got educated and now is like an activist against North Korea. She like escaped and like went through China and like came and then like lived in South Korea and then like immigrated to the U.S. and blah blah blah. And she's like 30 years old. Like did all of that in like 10 years of her life, like from.
Man.
And so I was like, whoa, this is nuts. Because she's like lived in North Korea, like you get to actually hear about what it's like to live in North Korea.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy crap! And it was like 2.5 hour podcast, so it was interesting, right? But what I learned about Joe Rogan and the way that he structures his stuff is I listen to a lot of Andrew Schultz too, and he's friends with Joe Rogan, and
Yeah.
he said that Joe Rogan will talk to anybody on his podcast, no matter what their status is, as long as he's interested in having a conversation with them. And that to me is fascinating because a lot of the people that are on Rogan I've never heard of.
Yeah.
These are like CIA agents and stuff like that, or like
Yeah.
or even like people that are deep in like the jiu-jitsu or the martial arts world, or like comedians, people that I don't really know.
Right.
Those aren't worlds that I'm in, but Joe knows them, and
Yeah.
he can talk better than anybody. And
Totally.
he sits there and listens because he's curious, and that's what's interesting. He's just interested in having conversations with humans.
Yeah.
And you can tell. Because a lot of podcasts will seem kind of fake, like they ask questions that you know the answer to for content. Joe does not do that.
Right.
Joe's asking like actual questions because he wants to know the answers.
Yeah.
And so I've definitely like been thinking about that a lot recently. Is like whenever even we have guests on, like why don't like stage questions that you don't care about the answers, like ask questions that you actually want to know the answers to.
Totally.
And so I've like taken a lot away from that.
Yeah, that's super interesting.
Yeah.
I haven't listened to a lot of Joe Rogan.
Me neither. It's a lot of it is, well, so whenever for me Joe Rogan became big was maybe election season, and he was having a lot of like the Ben Shapiro's of the world on the pod, and
Yeah.
and then other side equivalents. And I'm just not interested in listening to politics for 2.5 hours.
Right.
So that was why I wasn't super. But obviously he's been doing it forever, so it's different. But
Yeah.
I really like MMA Joe Rogan because that's a world that I don't know a lot about at all, but I'm
Right.
super interested in.
Yeah.
And he knows a lot, so
Totally.
yeah.
He knows more than anybody whenever it
Yeah.
comes to that.
Yeah, literally. So I don't really have any more. That was kind of it. I'm listening to a lot of podcasts right now, a lot of long form, and then if I have questions, I'm pretty much looking stuff up like that.
Yeah.
For me, I kind of go through phases that are different. Like you can kind of talk about this too, but like my content consumption, like strategy, or not really a strategy, but kind of just the way that it goes in phases for different people that I watch. Like I'll watch, maybe like 3 months out of the year or whatever with no like merit, just kind of happens. Like I'll watch a lot of like business and stuff like that kind of content. And then the podcast follows suit, and then maybe I'll go into like a 3-month period where I'm watching like all of Mike Malak's vlogs,
Yeah.
which are like, just entertainment and fun, and I'm listening to podcasts to kind of supplement and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I like don't change up what I'm watching a lot,
Yeah.
but when I do, it's like a full 180 swing.
Totally.
Yeah, is that how it is for you too?
Yeah, most of the time. Right now I am on a kind of, I guess I'm kind of in the same boat as you. I'm listening to a lot of podcasts right now. But I listen to a lot of podcasts right now because my YouTube is full of just like fun
Yeah.
videos.
That's a tough spot to be in.
Yeah, I started listening to this or watching this new guy. His name is Eric.
Oh yeah. Yeah. He's huge.
Yeah, like way huge.
Yeah, he got 1 million subs in a year.
Yeah, and I had never heard of this guy.
Yeah.
And I watched one of his videos, and his like friend group dynamic is super cool,
Mm-hmm.
and the content is very viewer.
Mm-hmm. It's a YouTube video, and it is
Yes.
it is built to be a YouTube video.
Yes,
It
it's
will on
very
YouTube.
it's very viewer enhanced, and this guy is like totally all about thanking the people who like got him to where he is, and like whenever he does like a brand deal or whatever, his ads are super entertaining, and he always does them in like a super cool way. And I really really like the way that this guy is doing it right now.
Yeah, Eric's super interesting. He has done, for the sake of you, I think he's done 2 episodes of Colin and Samir show. You should watch those.
Huh.
Because they're obviously interesting too. But
Yeah.
there's somebody that I always watch. I didn't put them on the list, but
Yeah.
do you watch them?
No.
Okay, so they talk about creator business.
Got
their
it.
whole shtick. So like they did an interview with Mr. Beast's manager. They've done a whole Mr. Beast interview. But it dives more into like the business of like how the heck are you doing stuff. Like one of the series that they do is they like will buy like 10 different pieces of creator products, like creator made products, so like Chamberlain coffee or like Full Send merch, and they'll like review it like
Yeah.
on the show. So it's super interesting. Anybody that's into like YouTube should watch that.
Yeah.
Colin
Oh,
Smith.
cool.
They do a podcast too. So anyway.
Yeah.
So let's jump into how the content that you watch affects your everyday life.
Okay.
This is something that I think about all the time, and I have for a really long time. For me, the way that I put it, and I have it in quotes, is like what I'm watching is what I'm like always thinking about in like my day-to-day life.
Yeah.
Like it says what I watch is where I'm at, is what I wrote down. Because
Totally.
like if I'm in just like a entertainment watch content kind of mode, which is what most people do, is something that I've kind of learned, is that I'm just kind of going through the motions,
Yep.
you know, and like I'm able to just realize that quickly. Obviously, it's hard to not just watch TV and eat Cheez-Its. I'm not saying that that's easy, but you don't really want to be there so much. But like right now, I'm watching a lot of Shark Tank, which is something that I've never really done, but it's just like very interesting to me. Like,
Yeah.
I'm interested in like the whole business side of it, which is something that I don't know about a lot. So I'm watching a lot of like business, more so business related content than anything else. So that's where my focus is, which is another thing that it kind of brings me to is like what you're watching is a really good way to be hyper focused on something. Like whenever we were starting this, all I was watching was how do I get the podcast more reach? How do I edit the podcast better? How do we make thumbnails for a podcast?
Yep.
Blah, 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 stuff like that. And it's like that was where my focus was at the time.
Yep.
But yeah, that's kind of it for me.
Yeah, I have basically the same thing here. What I have written down is the content that you consume determines how productive you will be.
Mhm.
And so, like for me, during the day, I know not to turn on YouTube.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I'm like
because
the opposite. We can
like
talk about that though.
if I am at home and I need to be doing something like homework or whatever, I know that if I turn on YouTube, it's going to be at least 30 minutes before I
Get started.
get started on my homework, And I think it's the same thing with oh, for today as an example. I went to work, and then after work, I went and grabbed some lunch, took it home. And whenever I got home, I was like, I want to turn on YouTube. So I opened up my laptop, and I was almost there, and I was like, no, because I knew that I needed to do some assignments whenever I finished eating. So instead, I turned on TikTok. Fast little quick videos, so whenever I'm done eating, you can turn it off, and then boom.
That's interesting.
And so
I think for a lot of people, it's the opposite of that. What you
Really?
just described. Yeah, because I think that people will just get stuck in the TikTok loop.
Yeah.
But anyway, go ahead.
So I think that whenever I know that I have to be productive, it's like I know not to turn on YouTube, and like I've trained myself to understand that. And but also if you are like, if I am to get on YouTube during the day, it's because I like need an answer to a question or whatever. So like another example is I was doing some statistics homework today, and I needed to know how to do one of my statistics problems. So what did I do?
Looked it up.
I went to YouTube.
Of course.
And so I think like the content that you consume determines how productive you are. If I'm doing my statistics homework and I have a question, and then I click YouTube, and then I click on the first video that I see, and it's a Mr. Beast video that's not going to help me with my math homework, like,
That's bad.
oh,
Yeah.
that's my problem.
Yeah.
But if I have like the self-awareness enough to be like, okay, this is what I'm here for,
Yeah.
and that's a hard thing to do.
Sure.
I mean, the point of YouTube is like clickbait.
Yeah.
Like,
to lock you in.
they want you to watch videos back to back to back to back to back, and because that's how the people there make money, and I get it. But like a lot of people, I think, don't have the self-awareness enough to realize that that is how that place is designed.
Mm-hmm.
And so they don't understand that you can get easily trapped there and be not productive.
100%.
But also, like, the videos that you watch are, like, they can help you be productive. Like if I go and look up how do I edit a podcast better, or how do I do this in Photoshop, or how do I do this in Premiere, or how do I do this in Audition, or like whatever,
Directly helps you.
that is something that I'm going there to learn and take away. And it's a little different for us because we are creators, and so every single YouTube video that I watch, I have a mindset that I want to learn something from this video.
Yeah, me
So
too.
so every time I turn on an Eric video, I'm like, man, this is how he does this, and he gets this many views, or like whatever, you know? And so I just have the mindset all the time of I am doing this for my entertainment, but I also have the mindset that I want to take something away from this video.
Yeah.
And so I think whenever you figure that out, and it's different for everyone, the reason that I do that is because I like to create things, and I like to know how people make the things that people find entertaining. So it's different if you want to be an accountant. Like, you're not going to take something away from an Eric video, you know?
No, probably not.
Like you're not going to take something away from that like I can.
Right.
So, like, content consumption is different for everyone. But, like, another one of my points here is you have to watch videos with the mindset that you want to learn something from whatever
Yeah,
you're
for
watching.
sure.
Same thing with TikTok, same thing with YouTube, same thing with Instagram, whatever. You just have to be like, I want to take something away from this. So then you don't get so lost in the just
Sauce.
entertainment
Yeah.
of the content consumption.
I think one of the best things people can do, and I don't know if even you know this or not, but I saw a TikTok recently, and it was like, if your For You page is like clogged up with garbage, you can clear the cache, which is like the information that TikTok has basically on you about your For You page and what
Yeah.
you watch. So then you can start like watching videos, like if you can just like watch a video that you want to be on your For You page instead, like for like longer. That way TikTok will kind of relearn who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that, and it's been like a huge change of what I see every day on
Yeah.
TikTok. I think you can tell a lot about somebody by what they see, like by what's on their For You page.
Totally.
Just about what they do with content in general. You know
Totally.
what I'm saying? Like, it's very dangerous to, and I probably spend more hours on YouTube than any human being in the world. I would put it up. I'd say that with some confidence. But like, I'm very particular about what I watch.
Yeah.
At whatever times. Like, if it's bedtime, then you can watch whatever. It doesn't matter.
Totally.
You know? But if it's like, if I'm working on like the podcast or whatever, and I just want background noise, then I don't want to put on like Mr. Beast. That's gonna distract me.
Totally.
Or like Eric, or like a David Dobrik video, or something that would be funny and like eye catching. You know, just have noise or whatever. Or,
Yeah.
just be particular about what you're watching and when. And I think that your point about watch stuff that you want to learn from is important. Like, I'll watch creators like that I just like look up to or whatever, just for this, like watching film.
Yeah.
Like, look at how they make cuts, or like what kind of music that they use and stuff like that. Like little stupid things that
Totally.
that most people don't think about, but it's like I'm watching this almost as if I'm like it's being taught to me.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
You look at the things that they're doing, and you try and figure out like
Exactly.
how you can do that
Mhm.
too.
Yeah. And it's different for everybody. Like, I'm in a lucky position where like that is exactly like I can do it by watching a David Dobrik video.
Yes.
Right? Like, if you want to be a surgeon, then it's tough tits, right?
Yeah.
But so it's you just have to be very careful. I think that your statement about self-awareness is so important. I think that helps in every aspect of everybody's life.
Totally.
Period. But you have to be aware that like if you spend 4 hours watching YouTube, then just try and take something away from that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? That's a sixth of your day that you're using to do whatever with.
Yeah.
So just don't. It can definitely mess you up. You
Yeah.
have to be particular about what you watch. You have to be.
Yeah. So my last 2 points here are pretty much exactly that. So I'll go ahead and cover those. So what I have written down right here is, while YouTube is great for entertainment, it is also a great learning platform.
It's the best learning platform in the world.
So, for example, I got the Adobe Creative Cloud, And that is a hard thing to figure out.
Learning curve is brutal.
And it would be impossible without the help of somebody. So I go to YouTube all the time
Yeah.
trying to figure out how to do things. And so while YouTube is great for entertainment, like there are also plenty of videos on there that are just for learning. Like that, or like me getting help on my statistics homework. Like those are just learning videos. And like for me, watching any other YouTuber, I also am learning from that too, which is different. But you can find something on YouTube that will bring value.
Mm-hmm.
And everything, I guess you can argue that everything has a little bit of value, but you can find things on YouTube that'll bring plenty of value to you. And so you just have to find that content that brings value to you and also brings entertainment to you. Learning about Adobe brings me happiness
I understand.
because I pay for that and I want to know how to use it. So
Yeah.
whenever I can use it and figure it out, that is satisfying. So everybody has to find that thing that is satisfying to them so they can better themselves at it.
I would say for most people, I want to give a piece of advice for that because that I think is like an incredible point. Like I think where everybody can start is watch like lifestyle creators that want to that find somebody like on TikTok that's lifestyle that you want to kind of emulate. Like maybe they're in the same job that you want to go into, or
Yeah.
maybe they live in the same kind of apartment in the same city that you want to live in, and watch like study their content and
Yeah.
like replicate it. You know what I'm saying? Like
Exactly.
if you just plug the pieces in, like you wouldn't think that it would work, but it works. Like,
Yeah.
like a lot of the stuff that we've done, even for the podcast, like everything that we know how to do here, pretty much comes from YouTube. Like
Totally.
so, like we just learned, plugged in the pieces, and here we are.
Right.
You know, like if you want to live in a cool apartment in Boston and you want to drink cold brew out of a little glass, then that's fine. Just watch creators that did the same kind of thing and follow in their footsteps.
Yeah.
I think that that's where everybody can start. If you want to be more particular about your content that you watch, everybody can start there. Is like
Yeah.
lifestyle creators who kind of focus on like self betterment, if you will. I don't have any good examples off the top of my head, but that's where I would start.
Yeah. Totally.
That's big on TikTok. Is like daily vlog or like vlogs that people will do, and it's like aesthetic, the like aesthetic-y cool parts of their life. It's like super fast.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's dangerous if you believe that that's totally real life, but like you can learn a lot from that.
Yeah.
Like, what is it like here? What is it like? You know. So.
And also, like, TikTok is such a versatile place, and there's somebody who's doing everything on TikTok. So like, there's not going to be an issue with you trying to find somebody who is living like your dream life on
Yeah,
TikTok,
for sure.
because there's definitely somebody who's posting on there that's doing it.
And if not, then like you have an angle, if you're like us. But
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's a very good point. That's a great place for anybody to
yeah,
start.
because anybody, it's exactly like 15 years ago. Whenever people said like you want to learn how to like build better habits, you read this book. It's the
Yeah.
exact same thing, but now you have TikTok and YouTube.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time, these creators that have like 100K on TikTok, a lot of the time they're gonna have like 5,000 YouTube subscribers.
Yep.
And so like 5,000 YouTube subscribers, you comment on their posts, they're going to see that. Like you can connect with these people really. So
Totally.
just like be aware of that. It's important to like reach out and try.
Yeah.
So just be particular about what you watch. So important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the last thing I've written down here is watching things with no value will hurt you in the long run.
Absolutely.
I think that this is the point that I'm going to try and hit on the hardest
Okay.
without rambling on too long. But just, you have to be particular with what you consume, because the content that you consume will change the life that you live. And so no matter what you're watching or what you're seeing on the internet, whatever it is, you're still taking away something from that, because subconsciously that's what your brain does. And you're going to take something away, and it's either going to hurt you or it's going to help you. So consuming content all day long that is going to bring no value to you and is going to it's just gonna bring you down, and it's gonna make you not sharp between the ears, and it's gonna make it hard for you to eventually turn around and be productive. So whenever I go to YouTube or whatever, like my mindset is to be productive, so that whenever I get off YouTube, it's not like, oh, okay, now I have to flip the switch and like be
Right.
productive again. It's like, no, I was being productive the whole time.
Hmm.
So now it's easier for me to go from watching a YouTube video back to my homework. It's easy for me to watch a video on how to read a histogram from my statistics class and then go back to my statistics homework
And
right after I finish that
right.
video instead of clicking on the clickbait. So that is just, it's so important to consume content that brings some kind of value to your life, no matter if it's going to help you with your statistics homework or if it's just going to help you stay sane in between the ears. Like, as long as that is bringing value to your life and you're taking something away, because I promise you, if you think you're not taking anything away from the things that you watch, your brain is doing it without you knowing, and you're going to end up in a big old hole, and it's going to be hard for you to pull yourself out.
A beautiful example of what you just said is like reality TV.
Yeah.
That is what I think about whenever I think about like total garbage, absolutely nothing you can take away from it. Like you said, you can take something away from everything. Psh,
Yeah.
there's no way you can take something away from Dance Moms.
That's true.
I'm sorry, fans. Dance Moms is terrible.
Yeah.
But like all of that garbage, what do you learn? I mean, not that you have to learn from everything, but like what are you taking away from Dance Moms or Jersey Shore or
Yeah.
I don't even know reality TV shows, but what are you taking away from that?
That's so true.
Like you're wasting your time. You're doing nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And some people, obviously most people, it makes a lot of money. Most people are okay with just wasting the time, which is, that's a different problem.
Yeah, that's
But it's not
different episode.
It's also not. It's also not my problem. Like,
yeah.
it's not my job to tell you what to do, but you just have to know what you want to do. Like, if you want to be somebody who is like hyper productive, or if you want to be a surgeon, you probably need to cut the Dance Moms out.
Yeah.
So
Probably.
yeah, because it'll help you stay sharp between the ears, which is important.
Yeah.
So,
And I'm not saying don't consume any content that is not for your
of course not.
entertainment.
Yeah, of course.
Because you have to have the balance too. You have to have the balance of productiveness and entertainment, because if you are all productive all the time, you will go crazy,
You're gonna
and
burn
that's
out.
a fact. So you do have to have the balance, but just make your balance not Dance Moms.
For sure.
It,
I would recommend, if you need, like, I would recommend maybe don't even watch content for entertainment. Do something for entertainment.
Yeah.
Like, I think golf is a great one, or like the gym, which is not a great example maybe, but for some people maybe, I don't know. Because it just becomes dangerous. But
yes.
anyway, that's also kind of another episode too. So I think that kind of covers that, yeah?
Yeah,
All
I'm
right.
good.
Let's hit this last little segment. It won't take long at all. So we've talked about internet content today, but I want to talk about all forms of content for this last little segment here. Orange Gatorade, shout out to Gatorade. You can sponsor us if you want. We also talked about Prime in one of our episodes before, so just understand that there is competition in that sport, in that world, Gatorade. So, but anyways, I want to talk about kind of a lot of different forms of content that you consume every day for the most part. Maybe not every day, but within a week you'll probably consume maybe all of these. Over underrated, and you can make a case if you want. If not, it doesn't really matter.
Okay.
Cool. All right. So let's start with TV.
Overrated.
The worst, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think that there are some great shows,
Yeah.
but not many. I really like Shark Tank right now. That's what came to my head originally, but
And my argument for that is, like, are you considering like Netflix a part of TV?
sure. I don't have streaming on here, so
Okay.
do you want to consider Netflix on here? So I'm more, yeah, sure.
Well, like whenever you say TV, I think of like actual television.
I think of
like,
Dance Moms.
like Spectrum.
Yeah.
And then you watch a TV show for a certain amount of time, and
Yeah.
then like 3 minutes of
Commercials?
pop up.
Okay, sure. Yeah, that's the
That
worst.
is totally overrated.
Yeah.
There's no show that I like enough to watch with commercials.
For sure. 100%.
There's no show.
100%. And even Netflix, this is my kind of thing with streaming services, is like, what if you don't have what I want to, what if you don't have what I want to watch?
Yeah, that's true.
Then I'm never going to go on there.
That's true.
So,
Yeah,
TV overrated, I would agree.
overrated.
Maybe the worst
Yeah.
of all. Movies is my second one that I'm going to talk about. I think movies are underrated.
I think, yeah, movies are underrated. I think it's my dream to make a movie.
Yeah, we've talked about this.
And so whenever I watch movies, I'm constantly listening to the music that's playing.
It's like watching film.
And exactly.
It's the
It's
same
like
thing.
it's like I'm watching film for game day.
Yeah.
Every time.
Every time.
And so that's like I take stuff away from every
sure.
single movie that I watch. And even if it's a crappy movie, I'm like, oh, they should have done this instead.
Yeah.
I'm not saying like, oh, this is a crappy movie. Like it is.
That green screen was terrible.
And I'm probably not going to watch it again, but I know
Right.
not to do that someday.
Exactly.
So I think movies are definitely underrated.
Definitely, especially if you're like us, want to make cool stuff. Music,
Totally
properly rated, I would say.
properly rated.
Yeah. Music for me is my relationship with music is like a lot different than other people's. For me, it's just kind of noise, but it definitely does set a vibe.
Yeah.
So that is what music does for me. I don't think about music too much. I just kind of turn it on and it's cool. Whatever I have playlists for different like what I need to like the emotion that I need to be feeling whenever I arrive at my destination, and that's it. Usually,
Yeah.
I'm a podcast guy though, so that's why.
Yeah.
It's different.
I like to make music.
Yeah.
Or I shouldn't say really make music. I haven't made much music.
Coming soon.
But I do play quite often. And so I do the same thing with music too. Whenever I listen to a song, I'm like, oh, that sounds pretty cool. I can play that on my guitar. Or like I want to go home and watch a YouTube video and
Right.
try and play that. You know.
That's
So
cool. That's so cool. It's properly rated.
properly rated,
Yeah.
I would
'Cause-
say.
Yeah, I don't think you can overconsume music either.
Yeah, I think like a lot of people like play music too. So I think a lot of people feel the same way
Yeah, for
with
sure.
me there. So
Let's talk about blogs. Or like internet articles, if you will. I think that they're
I don't
underrated.
I don't ever read one all the way through barely.
Yeah, well, I don't think anybody reads them all.
I mean, I read the headline and then I read the key points.
Mhm.
Basically, especially if they're formatted the way that I like them formatted, where it's you got your title and then the bullet points, but all the subheadings are bold.
Yeah.
So I just read them, and then if there's one that sticks out to me,
Read it.
I read it.
That's exactly what I do too.
So
It's like it's
ones
just quick
ones
information.
ones like that are perfect for me.
Yeah.
But the ones that are just long paragraphs and
Stupid.
everything runs together,
It's old fashioned. Doesn't make
You-
sense.
you can't expect anybody to read
Oh,
that.
way too old school. What about books? My perspective on books has changed in the past month.
Well, I've been patiently waiting for my perspective on books to change, and it has not yet. So I'm gonna say overrated.
Okay, I'll say underrated. I think books are awesome, but I'll sum it up with this Mark Cuban quote that I think will make you think about books a little bit differently. He said, "All it takes is one idea, and if you can pay $28 for an idea, then that's a win."
Yeah,
And I agree with that.
that's a good
That-
statement.
That is all I will say, because that was to me was perfectly worded. If you
Yeah.
pay $28 for an idea, it's not bad.
Yeah.
It's a bargain.
All right.
All right. Social media. I think it's
We-
I think it's overrated.
Yeah, we've talked about this before. Overrated.
Yeah. Because I would
Go
say-
watch overrated, underrated the episode.
I just think that the reason why, and I won't harp too long, is I think that it's just very dangerous for you to, like, you can be. It's like very addictive, and that's why.
Yes.
That's why it's overrated. With no self awareness, it is like death
It is
in a piece of glass.
Awful.
Yeah. So, overrated, but it's also my livelihood. So shout out to you, social media. YouTube, different than social media on this one. YouTube to me is underrated.
I think it's properly rated.
People misuse YouTube, is why I say underrated.
I guess
But properly rated is fair.
people who consume videos on YouTube misuse it, but the people who post on YouTube, I think all understand.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I think YouTube as a posting place,
It's the best.
it's totally properly rated.
Mhm.
But for people who consume that, I would say underrated.
Mhm.
But I'm gonna look at it as a creator, and I'll say properly rated.
I think my underrated is if you consume garbage content, like stuff to just entertain you. Like if you
Yeah.
watch Dance Moms clips on YouTube.
Oh, that would be awful.
Yeah. So like if you're one of those humans out there, then YouTube is underrated because you're not even watching the good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, and the last one is podcasts. It's the category that we fall under.
I would say underrated.
I would say the most underrated. In the
Yeah,
history
I
of
think
the
a
world.
lot of people hate on podcast.
Yeah.
And I get it because like why would anybody listen to us talk for an hour if
Value.
they don't know us at all?
Mhm.
And I get that. But like me and you do it better than anybody else has ever done it.
It's value.
Yeah.
That is the beauty. Wow, that's hilarious.
Holy cow. Wow.
You guys can't see, but it's like either a small man or a big boy riding on a motorized bike, but not a motorcycle.
But not a moped.
Do you think it's a big man or a little boy? Or a little man, sorry. A little man or a big boy.
Holy cow.
And
Hold on.
and a baby, by the way.
Yeah, there's two people on this thing. What's up?
They're giving us weird looks. Are you kidding me? Like we're the weird ones.
I think that was a small bike for a child. that a normal sized man was riding on with
Okay,
with a
baby.
very small child.
Yes. Okay.
Teaching them young, I like it.
Yes. Yes. It's always good to have a motorcycle gang in
Yeah.
the family. But podcasts are great.
Yes, they are.
The most underrated.
Yeah.
If you don't like books, you would love podcasts because it requires
Yeah.
minimal effort, so much value, so much information. If you watch good stuff, again, it's the same as everything. You have to pick good stuff, but ours happens to be the best. So
Yep.
if you're not already watching our podcast, you should watch it.
The best young adult podcast
In the world.
ever to be ever recorded.
Ever.
Ever.
If you will.
You can't say ever too much.
No, you can't.
Especially whenever you're talking about Caddy Corner.
For sure.
I'm done.
I'm done too. Thanks so much for watching this episode of Caddy Corner. Episode 23. Holy crap, that's nuts. We won't harp too long on that one.
Yeah,
though.
that's
It's all
so crazy.
good. But you guys already know the drill. If you're on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, all that stuff. We're back every single Friday for you boys. But you already know that because you've been here for 23 weeks. So shout out to you guys. If you're on audio, rate us 5 stars. Leave us a review. We read every single one of them. And if we could reply, we would. The episode 30 Q&A has officially been name changed on the Linktree and on the Google form. So
That's
go
huge.
and drop the questions there because we need them because I really want to make an entire podcast out of it. And yeah, so even if you've submitted one question already, submit another if you got them. You got 7 weeks to get us a full episode worth of questions, boys. So go ahead.
That's plenty of weeks.
Plenty of weeks.
If one person commented one question every week, we could make a full episode.
For sure. All we need is like six or 7 questions probably.
Yeah.
But regardless, if you like the outside set, let us know because we haven't really heard any good or bad. Well, I've actually heard good feedback. I haven't heard any bad feedback. So.
I haven't heard from anybody.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've been told by like a couple people that they like the outside set. So shout out to you guys that like the outside set.
Yeah, that's cool. Thanks for reaching out.
For sure. But if you like this episode, make sure to tell everybody else to listen to our show because we make the best show in the world. You're watching this tomorrow, so After Hours will be coming out on Wednesday. It's audio only. It's every Wednesday. And
it's so good.
This episode's going to be fun. We don't even know what we're going to talk about yet, and we're recording it in 1 minute. So thanks so much for listening to Caddy Corner episode 23. He's Caleb. I'm Austin. We are the best podcast in the world. We'll see you next Friday.
Peace.
Peace.